You know, there are some bands around that are incredibly small. This is no surprise to anyone. But being honest, taking your time to discover these small bands might be a really good experience. And in this album review is of a band that I discovered this way. I'm talking about Grande Royale and their new studio album, Take It Easy. And boy, that album is truly something. I've been following this band for about a year, and I've heard of their 3 previous records. And while they were certainly good, the band faced a really serious problem. That is the fact that their sound, despite being good, it was still generic. There's no difference at all from the sound of any other bands that try to bring the classical rock sound vibe to the present. And perhaps because of that, they almost could be described as a band that all songs sound the same. They are good, some of the songs I listen regular. It's okay, but even though I enjoy their music, I'm not going to say something that isn't true here. And yes, the music ends up being a little too same sounding, which doesn't mean there wasn't an evolution, because there was. So much so that their third studio album, Breaking News, is by far the best of the 3 previous ones. The songs were more fun and had a more memorability then, but as a general their sound still was pretty much the same from their previous records. And being honest, being the band's third record, we already expect some sort of experimentation in their sound. It sadly didn't happen too much. The only thing that Breaking News proved is that their compositions are getting better and better, but nothing new. And when a band starts repeating itself over and over again, they end up getting obsolete very quickly. So my expectations for their fourth record were kinda meh. I was going to hear it anyway, but I wasn't expecting anything remotely new. But I got to say, they made me a fool. They literally said to me the title of one of the songs on the record, Baby You Are Fool. And that's how I felt. I felt like a fool, because they turned my expectations, because this is by far their best album. And by best, I don't mean the same way that Breaking News did, because Breaking News was their best album, without anything special. This one actually showed they were trying to take a step outside of their comfort zone. They were actually starting to dare a little bit more in their arrangements. There was still songs here and there that were kind of the same thing of the previous albums. There are songs that here that actually show a new side of their music. Like the song Sweet Living, for example, that have some elements that remind me slightly of bluegrass. And the compositions, they're even better than the ones of Breaking News. There's like a bit more of passion and certain catchiness then. Like the main riff of 𝕸𝖆𝖗𝖗𝖚, the various segments across the song Cogitator that are just amazing, and the chorus of songs like On and Sweet Living. In general, this album was actually really surprising. So now it's time to give emphasis to certain songs here. Here are the positive highlights. Track 2, Out of Gas. What really moves this song is the main riff. That riff is just really fun. It has almost like melancholy to it, even though the song in general is very exciting, just like the whole album is. And I think that's just what makes this track stand out to me. The fact that there's some slightly sadness in a really happy song. Track 3, Hands Up. This track is sang by a woman instead of the actual Grande Royale singer. I have no idea who she is, I tried searching and I could find nothing. But based on what I heard, this song is amazing. The progression of this song is a little bit different from other songs from the band. It's slightly slower and calmer, but the chorus is like a party. This song is really fun, I mean, really fun. The best track of the album, for sure. Track 5, Cogitator. This song I feel like it's here more as a personal thing, because this is one of the songs that's still inside of their comfort zone. But the composition, despite being really simple and somewhat generic, it's just really fun and catchy. The little riff that plays after each phrase is amazing, and the chorus is that kind of chorus that you jump along to. It would be the best track of the album, if it wasn't so average in terms of arrangement and originality. Track 11, On. When I first heard the album, I for some reason thought this track wasn't going to be a good ending to the album. Maybe because of its length, I'm not sure, but it ended the album in a satisfying note. The composition is solid, and the way the song ends complements very well with how the album went. That sort of faded ending is something that I really enjoyed. And now for the negative highlights. Honestly, there's 2 tracks that I'll be mentioning here, and I'll be talking about them together, because they're here for the same reason. Track 7, Miss Sunshine, and Track 9, Going Strong. The reason why these 2 tracks are here in the negative highlights is actually pretty obvious. They are 2 of the tracks inside of the comfort zone I've mentioned, but they're a bit too much into it. It feels like these tracks were songs that were left out from their previous records and added here as a filler. Because these songs, while they were certainly good, they are already in the side of things that are just starting to get a bit too repetitive. So while I would listen to them when I have nothing to do, I'd most certainly not be very amazed by them. In general, I think this album as a whole has no bad song. There is some songs that are still not very different from their other albums, but even though that could make them obsolete as I said before, these are still welcome, because apparently the band is still trying to leave their comfort zone. They have one foot out of it, but I'd like to see something even stronger in the next album, maybe some sad songs, longer songs, especially since all songs here have a similar length. And I know, I said something similar in my previous album review, but dude, these are facts. Against facts, there are no arguments. Their albums are only getting better, so maybe in the next album there will be something that shows something completely new by then, but still enough to say that's the same band? I hope so, I really do. I'm giving this album an 8.8, but I want to see higher score in the next album.